Hello, this is Molly Reamer with Bridges Grove and 30 Days of Goddess with part 3 of our 30 Days of Goddess 101 series of videos. And this one is about how to use the prayer book. So this video applies to the professionally printed spiral bound prayer books available in the shop, which is bridgesgrove.etsy.com, or to your own homemade prayer book that you make yourself using the files that I provide every month. So either option is available to you, and the process is the same whether you buy a printed book or whether you make one for yourself. I will be doing a separate video about the super simple small logbook or small prayer book and the logbook as well. This one is about the full-sized prayer book that has a page for art and a page for writing notes and other things each day. So the prayer books, any of the prayer books are meant to be used at any time. So I do thematically connect them to the month in terms of graphics and imagery and things like that a little bit. They're mildly thematically connected, but really you can use any of them at any time. If you get one and it has the prompts in the front and then you decide that you aren't going to use it that month, you can always, I make a sampler pack of resources available to you, and you can always print out the new prompts and just glue them in, and then that makes that new book work, or the older book work for you. You do not have to feel like it's wasted because you didn't necessarily do it in the month that you purchased it. So each prayer book starts with a list of prompts. If you have printed your own, it has just a list so that you can either choose words from the companion deck, or so you can print out the sampler pack and glue the new prompt words into your homemade book. But each one has prompts at the front. And the idea is that you move through the month. I have had people start at the end and move this way instead. That works. You can also print out the printout of the cards and shuffle them up and just randomly pick for the month. Or you can go in order. So the first of the month is the first word, the second of the month is the second word. It's up to you. I post a little graphic on Instagram every day and I go in order of the prompt list, but it can very easily be mixed and matched. You can be like, hey, I feel like hold today, and pull it out. Or you can shuffle up the printed decks of word cards. I think mine is in here. Yes. And then you could just shuffle them up, randomly draw it, enchant, and then you'd have that word. And the words you then use as a inspiration for that day, whether to reflect upon or to write as a writing prompt or to use as a visual prompt. So you may, if you did get enchant, you may choose to make a collage or do a drawing or write a poem or something that uses the word enchant. There's also a moon wheel at the front of the book. The moon wheel can be used for emotions or cycle tracking, or can be used for rune tracking or card tracking or anything like that. I have a separate class on using moon wheels that I will link to, but you are also welcome to, devise your own system of using it. So you start with whatever the moon phase is on the day that you are starting, and then you would record possibly a little symbol for your mood, or you would record the rune, or you would include cycle tracking information, or whatever it is that you would like to include. There's a whole system of moon wheel codes that you can use, but you can also devise your own. So for me, I put my rune in, and then I use other little symbols from the moon wheel system. But you might also choose to, just color it in. If you feel blue that day, you might color that blue. If you feel full of energy and inspiration, you might color that one red, and it becomes kind of a mood tracker for you as well. Then you have a blank page, and then you have a page with some prompt information on it. And so what I do, and this practice is about, making it your own. So just because I do something some way doesn't mean you have to do it that way. There's a lot of people who participate in this practice, and there's a lot of ways to participate. But for me, I write the date, and this will be in the morning. So I would settle down in the morning, pretty much the first thing after I get up. I have a series of prayers that I say, every morning, and then I sit down with my prayer book. I will check the word to see what the word is. I choose a rune, and so I use the runes from the Woman Runes deck. So let's say I chose the Crowned Heart. That's usually the first thing I do before I do anything else. I check to see what the word is. I choose the rune. I do also have a print your own rune set available in the free Introduction to Woman Runes class, which I will also link to. And there's a smaller set that you can print out and then glue in the rune spot, or you can draw the rune yourself and then you can cut out the larger one and put it over to the side. So I cut these apart into little tiny cards and then I randomly draw one. But the other option is if you choose one from the deck, you can then cut out the matching one from the print your own set if you want to represent it on your page. There's a lot of ways to do that, but I tend to keep a little pocket. I'll show you that now. I make a little pocket in the back of my current prayer book with my cut up runes, and then I'll pick one out every morning from my little pocket that I've made. So I pick the rune, and then I write the word at the top. I've drawn my rune in here. I usually draw in the moon phase, and the mood section, I've heard some people get confused about that. The mood section, I don't usually fill in until the night, and I use it kind of based on how was my overall mood that day. And I often include a lot of other things. So it won't just have, a smiley face. It will have, let me see if I have any examples. So this one has, I was feeling okay, but then I had kind of emotional low and kind of physically felt a little bit out of sorts that day. And so I include quite a few symbols on the little face itself. Some people, this means pulled in different directions. This means strong dreams. There's little different codes you can put in there. So that's how I use it. I see other people who have actual little emoji face stickers or mood stickers that they stick in, or they literally just write a word such as happy or relaxed. So I tend to put little symbols that I learn that are based on the moon wheel. I put little symbols in there about different things, and so they're all kind of represented in one spot. So did I feel, overall pretty happy, but then I also had strong dreams, and I also was pulled in different directions, and that'll all go in the same little mood box. So it's kind of like my head, and then the other little things that are included are in there in my same little head. But you could also just write peaceful and have that in there, or you could color it with a purple crayon, colored pencil if you wanted to. And so the mood I usually write in at the end of the day, and the magic moment I usually write in at the end of the day, unless something happens that very morning that makes me want to write it down right then. So I save those for later. I then usually write an affirmation at the top using the word. So if the word of the day was enchant, I would then say, may I let the magic of the everyday enchant me and inspire me. And I would write that. And then I'm going to show you a finished page in a minute, but then I will go ahead, and often those will spread down. I'll show you one of those finished ones. So from today, for example, here's my rune waiting to be glued in. Here's my little cards waiting to be used. But I tend to write a lot, so I have my affirmations in a different color. They actually go all the way down here, all using the word for the day. And then I have a poem that I wrote for the day on this other section of the page. But you may just as easily, if you don't have a writing-based practice or you don't feel like you want to write something, you can just as easily take one of the images and just stick it down over that spot. Or you can cut one of the prayers from the sampler pack. Oops. You can cut one of the prayers from the sampler pack, or one of the prayers from the back of the book. You can just cut that out and you can glue it in the center. It does not have to have every day. It does not have to be written in every day in order to quote unquote count. So I like to write every day. That is not required, and you may want to do something else. Or perhaps you're reading a book. Maybe you have a copy of Whole and Holy, the Goddess Devotional, Or maybe you read something in the Woman Runes book, or maybe you have the Gaian Tarot and you drew the page of, or not the page, that's what she wouldn't call it that, the Elder of, let's say you drew the Elder of Fire that day, and you write some notes from the Elder of Fire in your wisdom section. The other thing to keep in mind with these prayer books is that you can choose to dedicate them to a specific goddess at the beginning of the month. So perhaps you want to work with Lilith, then you could dedicate your prayer book to Lilith and then every day write a new prayer to her, or read a prayer on the internet, or address a prayer from Whole and Holy or from the supplemental printed card decks. You could then address that prayer to Lilith and glue it down in your book, or write it down, copy it down yourself. And then there are little affirmations at the end that you can cut out and stick in each of these little spots, or you can write something fresh and new there if you would like to. So I'm going to show you the one that, let's see, I'll show you one from yesterday at the time of writing this. So these are from a sampler pack, and I usually color around the outside with colored pencil, and then I stick them down, but I only glue on 3 sides so that it can be a pocket in case I find a feather. Or my son my 7-year-old brought me this yesterday and said, "Look, Mom, a present for you." And he had a tag off a tea bag that he had cut off for me. And so I stuck that into my pocket. I have a tendency to make the word of the day into a pocket as well. So again, if you just put glue along the 3 sides, it makes a pocket, and then you can stick anything else in that you want. So after I have chosen my rune, written my word, written my affirmations, written my poems, glued my stuff down, then this is a date that I keep. This is a date with the sacred in my life. This is a date with myself. This is a date with my own intuition. It's keeping my promise. It's showing up. It's making this portable tiny temple wherever I am. And it is dialoguing with divinity in the everyday, basically. And this book makes the space for recording those components. So some people have asked before, is this just about arts and crafts? No, it's about creating a space to dialogue with divinity, creating a container to show up for yourself and for the sacred in the everyday. So this one is waiting for me to, this one's kind of elaborate, but it's waiting for me to glue down my word. And then I'll have a prayer that will stick in the pocket, and I'll cut out those other pieces and it'll be there. I would like to mention that your prayer book can be worked on at multiple times during the day. It can kind of accompany with you anywhere. And so after I write in mine, and I'm usually sitting on my yoga mat on the floor, I light a candle first, I put my hand against my heart, I've said my prayers already, and then I write. And it really is a sacred pause, a moment of clarity, a moment of communion, and an opportunity to dialogue with divinity. So thank you for being here, and we'll move on to the other formats of prayer books in the next video.